Welcome to Skyton Academy, where excellence meets opportunity. As one of the 5 pillars, our next focus is professional development. Here, students dive deep into courses like planning and execution and brace for upcoming masterclasses like private equity investing. But that's just the beginning. Soon, they'll immerse themselves in real estate fix and flip, tax lien sales, and even learn the art of business brokerage. And yes, there's ChatGPT 101 and much more. With an enrollment fee of just $50 per month, Skyton Academy empowers you to unlock your full potential. Join us. Let's soar together. What's going on, ladies and gents? Dot Connect Wednesdays, episode 60. Wow, 60 episodes. We here. Steve, how you feel about that?
I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. Like, if I swear you keep score of that, because if it was up to me, we would still be on 1 right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Champ connects that. Nah, that's a pretty big feat, considering that a lot of these have went on for like hours.
Hours, bro.
I don't think we've had a hard 1 hour stop yet.
Mm-mm. Yeah, this feels good.
Yeah, nah, that's when you kind of in the sauce, you don't really,
Yeah.
right? Because there's 60 more to go, Yeah, it's like we're not looking to hit a number or a milestone.
Yeah.
But nah, I'm appreciative that people show up. The value does live out there. So we did get members who have been following for, I've heard stories of 6 months to a year of following our content, wanting to see consistency. So I definitely like those type of students when they come in. They're not, we tend to get a lot of FOMO individuals from other groups who are just primed to just jump into everything and not have time for most things. So, I take it all together. But that is an observation of the people who come in slow to sign up. Definitely, they hit the ground running. And it tells you the type of person that is, too, because if you just are collecting courses and never finish, starting and finishing is one thing. Actually applying the knowledge in a set business is another. I got 2 stories for you guys today that kind of connect to that. All right, let me share screen.
Gotcha.
Y'all can see that?
Yeah.
Have enough money to make your mortgage payment, make your car payment, you can pay off your credit card bill every month. You can afford the things that you buy. Wealthy, I think, is when you have a degree of independence and autonomy. The weird thing here is that wealth is the money that you don't spend. Wealth is like the homes you didn't buy and the car you didn't buy. It's money that you saved and invested that is going to give you independence. Wealth is what you don't see. I can see your house. I can see your car. But I have no idea what your net worth is. I can't see your brokerage account. I can't see your bank account. So wealth is always hidden. It throws a lot of people for a loop, because if I was looking for a role model of physical fitness, I can see your face. I can see your weight and your muscles and whatnot. It's all visible. But when you're looking for a financial role model, who do you look up to? And a lot of people, particularly young people, will look up to the guy in the mansion with the Ferrari. But that guy, for all you know, is living paycheck to paycheck. And the person who is actually wealthy and independent might be the person in the modest house, driving the modest car. You want to be wealthy instead of just rich. You want to be independent instead of just making your monthly payments. The people that you actually want to look up to are some of the hardest people to identify in society.
Yeah, that message resonated with me today. And the reason being is because we tend to hold wealth and being rich. We put a monetary, we put numbers on it at the end of the day. So there's ways to define each one. And I'll tell you this, wealth is super quiet. Wealth is super quiet. Now, don't get me wrong. These guys, they'll have those houses, but even those houses, where are they? In order for you to even see some of these wealthy individuals in their homes, you're not driving through those neighborhoods like that. All right. So the reason that connected with me, because it was, and this is the second part of the story. A lady we know, she's a friend of the family, and she was telling me about her, I asked about her son, younger kid. He was a great sales guy. He's in his 30s. He started a Amazon selling on Amazon, right? So today I'm talking to his mom and I'm like, all right, how's such and such doing? She's like, oh, he's good. He's back working at the car dealership, which is where he makes car sales is one of his things that I've known him for. And then he pivoted into the Amazon situation. I even worked with him personally on, just helping him out, trying to understand the Amazon thing. He was teaching me some things here and there. So she tells me, long story short, she tells me that he's no longer doing that they pretty much both lost money in the selling of products on Amazon. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then she's like, he can make 20, 30K a month in selling cars. Right. So then that's when I told her, I was like, well, shit, the people he was probably following online probably sold him a lifestyle of the 100K Amazon month or the $250,000 Amazon month. And she was like, that was it. He was following individuals that were telling him or telling people the message, with all these guys that are selling Amazon products is how much money you could make, but they'll never tell you how much work is associated with it or how many people are actually losing money because of products that aren't selling. So if anybody is selling on Amazon, that thing is all about the algorithm. It's all about the amount of people that are actually selling the same product. So there's a lot of competition in that game and it shifts, right? You have yet to meet somebody that can sell the same product and just keep hitting on all cylinders unless you have an exclusive with Amazon, right? Which, big companies tend to sell their inventory on Amazon and they tend to lock out the smaller guys from being able to sell those products or resell them. So yeah, I was just giving it some thought when I saw that clip, because this is exactly what happens when you don't lead with how much money you can make with a product. It makes the product that much more. This is why people would, come back to Champ and I and say, hey, listen, we've been watching you guys for 6 months, 1 year of content. And I'm like, golly, 1 year of content, $50 a month. This is what it took. And I'm grateful for all of it, right? But I can just, and when I talk to my old webinar guy, he's telling me about 50,000 days with these guys, right? With information that's like not really worth the squeeze. So I'm on with Brad earlier, who's our content writer, Champ, and we were talking about it. He doesn't really like the webinar masterclass. Not that he doesn't like it. He's just not from that world. So he's now, working with us, intertwining, and he's a skeptic. So he's like, a lot of it feels predatory. And this is from a guy on the outside, and he knows exactly how Champ and I run business. He knows our content. He's writing the majority of it. So he understands the marketing and the influence, and that's what he's getting out of it as a skeptic, right? With a lot of these webinars. Yeah, so I was just, kind of reflecting on the one that we have coming up, and I was kind of not killing myself too much. I definitely have a calmer approach to how we're moving into this next segment that we're in. So yeah, I don't know, Champ, you got any insight on that video, or just leading with that marketing, lifestyle marketing? And for anybody in the group that's out there, because a lot of these guys I don't even follow these guys anymore. They're not coming up with my algorithm, or I am blocked. Is this still happening?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
So what I'm starting to see is on my side, right? This is just my vantage. I definitely was seeing all the guys, private jets, Rolls Royces, Maybachs, all that good stuff, right? And then now there's been a huge shift in the economy, right? There's been tightening on credit. So a lot of the products that some of these guys are selling or promoting, it's tightened up. So, I haven't been seeing too much of the extravagant, crazy trips, the crazy shopping sprees, things like that. But it's still, I still have been seeing lifestyle marketing, still, using the same vehicles. Even if they're not flying in the jet, they might rent, something at a local airport. You got the planes out there and you're shooting content in them. So I'm still seeing that. And that's the one thing that's kind of catching and keeping people's attention, unfortunately. So it's one of those things. To me, I personally feel like I didn't have a problem with it until you sit in a seat where you have to kind of usher in the masses at once, right? And when you start to consider people, they're being led astray, and that's the messed up part about it. That's the foul part about it, is because they're almost intentionally being led astray. So all the people who might be in dire situations, you're looking at somebody, you know, perceiving them as, hey, they got it. They're on top of the world, multimillionaires, billionaires, whatever, right? All these lavish things, and you want to partake in that. And you are funding that lifestyle, the person who is in need. And it's like a lot of these people, they're not really there to teach you something. I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not saying anybody in particular, but a lot of these guys, because they're leading with that, they're not actually teaching you something. They might go to Chat GPT, create something real quick, and they're just giving you nonsense, stuff that you could have found on the internet in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's not benefiting you at all. So you buy their products thinking you'll get to that status or that level where they're at. And ultimately, you know, it leads you nowhere. You just funded more of what they're doing with no benefit. So I'm not feeling it. And it is foul because some of the top guys do have you blocked. And that's wild to me because, you know, never had kind of discussions with those guys. But it's like, I think sometimes you say something, and when you're a truth teller, you know, you stand on what you say. And when you say it with conviction and people can get behind it, that truth don't sit too well with some people who ain't living in truth. So, you know, you might have struck a nerve or something. It's like, nah, I got to get this guy out my ether.
That's all good. I'm just observing and seeing the adjustments. So as a marketer, I have to follow trends and things like that. So just a thought. All right. So listen, guys, I went down this rabbit hole, and I've been down this for a while. Just we keep telling you about these bank failures, and I didn't feel I was doing a good enough job to connect the dots for you guys, right? So Champ and I are working on a masterclass that is going to give you the tools to be able to look at your bank records, right? It's all public information that we never, ever think to go look at. All right, so I just want to share something with you guys. I'm not going to go too deep, but just work with me here. All right. So this is going to be M&T Bank on the left. Just tell me if you see that.
Yep.
Okay. So I have M&T Bank on the left, and then I have Silicon Valley Bank on the right. Make sense? So if anybody knows, Silicon Valley went under last year, right? And so what I'm doing is I'm studying the banks that went under, and I want to get an idea of why. So we can look for trends, and then you could then research your bank and figure out if they're going to go under. So banks are going to fall into two classes, right? Does anybody know that the FDIC doesn't insure credit unions? This is a different agency that does that. So that's another piece of information that most people won't know. So you'll learn that on the masterclass, right? And we need to get this out quick. All right. So if you look at, and guys, when I tell you about the numbers behind these banks, you're going to laugh, because I've never seen something add up with liabilities and assets offset each other to the T, dollar for dollar.
Wow.
And I'll break that down too in there. So when we look at M&T Bank, they're around now, right? So they're over 200 billion in assets, and Silicon Valley Bank had about $209 billion in assets. So we're talking about same size banks. Now, the only thing that differentiates banks is what they actually invest in, or the model that the bank is in. So I'm going as far as to showing you, and I'll get into that one. You want to know if your bank is actually investing in the community that you live in, because that's important, right? So when you're banking with the JP Morgans, the Bank of Americas, you'll be lucky if these guys have like 5% in the hood, right? And when I say hood, I'm not talking about like what we consider the hood, just the neighborhood. So that means that these banks are here to extract. And I told Champ today, I was like, damn, it's such a lovely business that someone could just drop you money at your institution, continue to deposit paychecks with you week after week, and they not hold you accountable to what you're doing with the money. Now, if I didn't tell you that this was a bank, would you guys want to invest in something like that, or even leave your money there? This is how they have us conditioned. And what do you get in return from that? You get an ATM debit card, which we know it's not the greatest thing to use. You want to use your credit and then kind of leverage that, pay that off, earn some points and things like that, and then go to the cash and bank to then pay off debt, right? So what's the exchange that you get for keeping your money in a bank? Okay. So now that we're moving towards self-custody, now that we understand that Visa, MasterCard are all have crypto related products, are all already connected, the Coinbase card, what's the other one? Robinhood, all of these, the Cash App, everyone has a card. So you could always off ramp through these companies and still utilize crypto. So I would say probably in the next, I'm doing it now, but in the next 2 years, it's going to be, there's going to be more and more people operating from that stance. So I have the Glint Pay card, which is how you could purchase gold. And they're looking to add some other commodities. The vault is in Sweden. This is what they're telling me, right? It's FDIC insured. Take it for what it is. We talked about that already. But there's a partnership with MasterCard. So I've watched my gold account since I came across it a year ago and gave it to the university in part one of the academy and part one of the plan. And I've watched the account grow to 30%. Now, the great part about the gold is, well, the downside is I'm not actually holding the physical gold. They're holding it in a vault for me. I'm just seeing the value of it, right? And I'm seeing the value grow. Now I can utilize my card like anything else, okay? So I don't have to sell my gold immediately. They're transacting it for me, and I'm using it as if it's US dollar fiat. And I like that product, okay? So what you're looking at here is M&T Bank, which is still open and operating, and Silicon Valley Bank. When I went down this rabbit hole, the first thing I want to tell you guys is your bank name is not really the bank name with a lot of these. So when you're searching for these names, if you don't know the exact name, that in itself is a rabbit hole, and it can force somebody to go into like, fuck it, I'll get back to it. Because I said that a few times. So even M&T Bank, if you try to look for that on these websites, you're not going to find it. The actual, what's the actual real name of this bank? Manufacturers and Traders Trust Company. That's what M&T stands for. So they hit us with this little name that we can associate on surface level, but then the real name is behind the scenes, and that's where all the data is kept. And I'm telling you, it's hard to get, because if you don't know the bank name, then it's tough to do. I had to reverse order certain things in order to get the designation. So now I'm moving one step closer to just figuring this stuff out for you guys, so we could just get to our banks, get to the ones in the local area that we can research and figure out what's the safest. All right. So back to this graph here. So what you're looking at in red, and I just took a screenshot of this, but these aren't faded. It's from the screenshot. It ended up being faded. So the red that you're seeing at Silicon Valley Bank, this was all government security. So whether it be bonds, treasury notes, whatever, but 58% of their business was government junk, debt. Okay. And then you have 38%. So what you're looking at in red is US government securities. What you're looking at in the darker green is actual loans and leases. Okay. So you notice M&T Bank has 65% out in loans and leases alone. So does that seem safe? And then the light green, if you can make that out on the image, it's like it almost looks teal. That's going to be the cash and balance due. So that's 13%. Silicon Valley Bank had 6% in cash and balance due. You following? And then you have this little bit of orange next to the red. That's going to be, well, no, the orange, which is 2 away, it's next to the yellow. That's real estate. All right. So we're talking about less than 1-2% real estate for any one of these guys. Okay. So that's a problem, right? Now you could look at some other banks and the real estate and commercial holdings would be high. That's also a problem, because as the economy starts to spiral, you're noticing there's a lot of Fortune 500 companies downsizing. You're noticing a lot of commercial real estate just becoming vacant. And it's like, who else is going to fill this space? If a mom and pop left, how many more mom and pops could come start a business in this climate and environment? to replace those businesses, right? So the bigger office buildings, those are going to turn to affordable housing. Okay. Or some sort of housing, because it's easy. You know, these offices are already cubicles. So it'd be nothing to partition and rezone and create housing. That's what they're going to be for. A lot of the warehouse space, you're starting to see data centers now. Okay. With all things going tech, all things going digital. We already told you data being the new oil. You're going to need places to house a lot of information. Now, the one thing about data and crypto, when we talk about like the DePIN industry, and if you don't know what it is, listen, just if you're listening, just get inside of the academy. Trust me. A lot of hardware and software, and even just our computer memory is being stored at our home. So DePIN companies don't really need data centers, right? Because as a decentralized business model, they're utilizing individuals to grow networks, which I feel is the smartest thing, right? Because just imagine you deployed 100 million antennas throughout the United States. And we've seen it done with helium, right? They can deploy a people's network and it can cover as much ground as companies that have been around that have spent hundreds of millions of dollars on infrastructure. Okay. So the future is really in the DePIN market because it's going to cut a lot of overhead down. And this is how they're able to share the rewards with us. Okay. So when I'm looking at this chart, I'm bothered by this because I'm like, how do I not know what these guys are doing with the money I put inside the bank? Right. We've just drawn so accustomed. Since I was a kid, I've been trained and into, you get a job, you make money, you put money inside of a bank. That's how we were trained. And we never knew, outside of just being able to get a debit card, like what benefits are there for us? I don't know if I told you guys a story when I was rebuilding my credit back. We had gave Bank of America, when you start the credit situation, you give secured credit card first, right? So I put up 1,000, they give me 1,000 back in a limit. This bank, I never got the card from them. And it was months later. And I'm like, whatever happened to this money? I had to go back to the bank. I'm like, listen, we filled out for secured. And they were like, you didn't get approved for the secured credit card. I'm like, what? So the worst part about it is my credit wasn't that shot to not get approved for a secured credit card. But it's the fact that the money was never even put back into the account. If I didn't go back to ask them, God knows what they were doing with that stack in those couple months. Because it doesn't take that long to give somebody a secure credit card. You get instantly. You put the money in, they send you the card, and you're rebuilding your credit at that point. So far from the days of that. Now, when I'm looking at this bank data, I'm like, this is the worst piece of information that you can give a guy like me at this point now, because I'm going to terrorize this thing and then I'm going to package it together and, put it out there in the ether for other people to, if you care about what your bank is doing with your money. But I'm just telling you that it's time for us to start minding our business. And these guys are the absolute worst. Even when you look at the, and mind you, this is what the crazy part about it is, you're getting it from a government. Well, it's not a government site. It's a private entity, the FDIC, right? So they're giving you whatever they're giving you. And I'm like, how come the balance sheets are constantly matching? They just told them that the balance sheet has to match. But how many people could actually have assets and liabilities zero each other out? It's almost impossible to do. So when I get to these graphs and I start seeing like how the bank is actually set up, I'm like, but this graph doesn't look like it's evenly set up, right? Loans and leases, and they got this weird way of putting stuff, right? Because a loan is what? It's debt. And then a lease is what? So you're going to put a lease in a debt category? These banks are borrowing against the money we have, lending out, then borrowing against those assets that they lend against. And they're doing this like in multiples of 10. They're absolutely bugging. Absolutely bugging. So at any point that this industry collapses and everything moves over to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, I don't care. I will never be on the side of a banking system if we have an alternative option. Never. You understand? And where you guys, and this is my call to action right now, do not let these powers to be fail you. Okay? Just know that if the election is tilted a particular way, I'm not going to say which person, I think y'all know the obvious. There's a particular party that's going to make the crypto regulations a lot tougher to deal with. Okay? Because that party is not, they don't care about financial sovereignty.
Yeah.
All right. But I could tell you, outside of the wild shit that this other guy says, and people are like, oh, why don't you post about him? Why'd you post? I only post 2 things about Kamala. 1. 2, I wouldn't have enough time for this guy. It's how dumb it is. It's just obvious. He tells you exactly what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's open about his lies. We can clearly see it. So I don't need, any child could see that coming. But the other person, that one's a little tricky, right? Because she has the same makeup as this guy. The only difference is she's just it's easier for her to digest certain things. Mm-hmm. Right? So look at these 2 banks. The one on the right failed. The one on the left is still here. Right? When I start to show you guys how to read a lot of this data and piece things together, you'll have a better understanding of the banking system, particularly of your bank. That's all you should really care about. And then whatever competing bank you would want to go to. Silicon Valley Bank only had, I want to say 4%. Now, mind you, they're saying this is 200 billion in total assets. They only had 4% insured at the bank.
Wow.
So they had Oprah Winfrey was there with tens of millions of dollars. And we're talking about 250,000 is like the so-called threshold. How are these people banking with tens of millions of dollars? Right? She was only supposed to get $250,000 back. So there's other tools in banking that we're not privy to. Right? You know, when you go to Chase and a lot of these other banks, they have other departments in the bank that deal with high net worth individuals. We're not all the same to these banks at the end of the day. So I definitely wanted to bring awareness to this chart so you guys can see if there's any bank that's holding. I mean, look at M&T Bank. Their U.S. government securities is 11% compared to 52%. So if we know that the dollar is dead, these guys were holding so much bad money. Right? This chart could technically be for Tether.
True.
I'm just being honest. If Tether opened up their books, none of us would be using USDT. Okay?
Hello.
So I had reposted something the other day where the lady on the panel was saying at some point we have to write a digital constitution. And think about it, right? We're moving to a new day now. So far from the days of a bayonet. This is why laws just never makes sense for modern day, because they've never updated the Constitution. So what Constitution are we going to follow when money becomes sovereign? State Constitution? What are we following? Strap up, guys. At the start of 2025, this is the start of the financial revolution. This is where people who are informed are going to push back on government, who's also informed, right, on a nonsense. So if we don't have enough people on the side of digital currency that can understand it, if we don't have competent leaders that can understand it and adopt it correctly, we're stuck. You know what I'm saying? And with that other party, I can guarantee we will see a CBDC by 2026.
Right.
You understand? And when it comes down to programmable money, I will tell you that it is an option. You're not obligated to do anything, even pay taxes. But that's a different conversation. Okay? But think about it. See, that's their system. If I make money and I decide to convert my money to something that's not illegal, I don't have to jump through hoops. right? So Champ, we talk about the straw man situation and all that, the complexities of it.
Mhm.
But just think about it. If I'm liquidating Bitcoin to Cash App right now, what totally legal, right?
Absolutely.
I don't need a designation. I don't need to be addressed in all caps or low. I don't need any of that.
Yep.
And if I do a transaction with somebody in crypto and it's crypto to crypto and peer to peer,
What do we talk about?
part of the transaction,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I say that to say there's a lot of students on this call. You guys are on the right path right now. Because trust me, I would hate to be uninformed with what's about to happen to people just from the banking system. Forget everything else that could happen. I'm just talking about when I started looking at the data from the banking system, and then I pulled out some old banking documents, and I can't even see it because they made the font so small, right? Not everything, but for the most part, guys, when you open a bank account, have you ever read through the pamphlets and everything that comes with the bank account? Drop a 1 in the chat if you have, and drop a 2 if you haven't. And now when you're opening bank accounts digitally, are you just signing shit and just pressing, clicking, and going? Because how quick was it to open that Cash App? Did anybody read the Cash App disclosures?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Just checking. So my homework assignment for you guys, and then I'm done taking up your time for the night. But my homework assignment is go back and dig up all those old papers from your bank when you first opened it. Have a glass of something. or something that could just level you out because you're about to get upset. In short, none of this money belongs to us. Okay? Everything that you give them it belongs to them at that point. Now you have turned it over. On top of it being a debt note from the start. That's why I couldn't read the balance sheet. And Champ's like, yeah, but it's a debt note. And I'm like, damn, I knew that, but I only know one way to read a balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't read it that way, then it's not balanced and I'm out.
Right.
So it kind of, the banks feel like the election. It's pointless. It's pointless. What would happen if none of us voted in America? Like not one person cast a vote. What do you think would happen? Do you think we'll still have a president?
Yep.
Of course. Right?
Talk to him.
So I'm a little disturbed by this banking situation. Not feeling it. And I'm going to tell you guys, they're going to take our money. They're going to take as much of it as legally possible, and they own all the laws. It's crazy. Okay? So I can go back to when Obama, the bailouts, right? The car industry, the bailout of the banks. And when you think of banks, it's not just like physical banks. These are, they're credit card companies. There's some credit card companies that don't have, I can't say they're not linked to like physical structures, but they're not as big in the streets, right? So when he passed the bailout laws, there were certain things that he didn't close up. Okay. So when you see a group of people taking advantage of the citizens and the people that you're supposed to be working for, you're supposed to protect them at the end of the day. And I never forget this one. They bail out the banks. These guys are still flying private jets. They took the bailout money and they paid themselves bonuses. Right? These bozos fumbled the bag. Right? So we actually gave them the money back. It came from taxpayers. Okay. So when he signs it, he leaves out a whole bunch of provisions, and that was the start of. Has anybody looked at their credit card APYs? Like after they get you with the 12 months or the 6 months, 0% interest, 22, 30, 35. That was on his back. And then when he was called out about it, he was like, yeah, there's times in government where you just can't close off. You can't close up everything. I'm like, man, who the hell is working for you guys at the end of the day? If you're giving somebody a bailout and I'm giving you money, shouldn't that come with clauses and do's and don'ts of what to do with the money?
Absolutely.
The money wasn't really supposed to bail out the bank itself for them to enrich themselves even more. It was really supposed to just keep the shit stable and not create more problems for people. All right. So he was doing this at the worst financial time in history for most Americans if you got caught up in the housing crisis. All right. So we're back here again. Same players, same bullshit. Every 4 years, it just seems to be the same nonsense. It's actually getting even kookier now. Right. And I'm tapping in a little bit to see the marketing behind it. And I'm like, yo, this shit ain't even good marketing anymore. I'm like, put a one in the chat if you saw what this lady did in Atlanta. And ask yourself this, right? Because I felt disrespected with that one. Is that like really making people want to vote for a Black person again? I'm just asking for a friend because you already know my stance on that. I'm just asking you guys, like for all you guys that vote, that believe in this system, you know, all good. There's no digs on that, no shade. But what I'm really asking myself is when I see Quavo and I see this one and I see, you know, like, oh yeah, the stuff with her and Taraji, it was, I didn't even watch that. They were like, it was Sexy Red performed before and then that, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Is she alienating herself from like smart melanated people? I'm asking for a friend.
Pandering, man. Pandering at its finest.
And just drop it in the chat. Who's everybody voting for?
I've not voted in years, man. It's not even supposed to be just vote for Facebook.
And I know you're up in Canada, so even that president of Canada, when I speak to my friends from Canada, it's like there's a love hate for this guy. It almost seems like he's an Obama, right? Is there still love for this guy after everything you guys have been through? Does he still have another shot?
Spot on. Everybody hates him.
You want to unmute? What's her name? She's from Canada.
Sharika. Sharika, I'm about to unmute you.
Peace. From where I'm at, like every single Friday, there's a man and he has a flag and it says F Trudeau, and he's just waving it like consistently, and people parts of the country, but people tend to flip-flop because the parties over here, it's not as polarized as the States, right? So there's that aspect of it as well.
So we've been having some good talks this week. You want to, and you guys have to understand what's happening in all countries. We need to know what's happening with cryptocurrency. Can you tell them in short what's happening with cryptocurrency in Canada right now? You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Test.
Yep, you're good.
Can I be heard? Yeah, for me, it's a lot of roadblocks. If you are able to get onto exchanges, heavy limits. So if you want to invest in Bitcoin and ETH, no problem. But any of those other altcoins, you're capped, and that's dependent on your income. And you really got to dig. You really got to work for it. They're not making it easy for you at all.
Is that a testament to how valuable these assets could be in the future?
For me, I see it that way. And even I've done a little bit of digging on the Canada CDC. I think it's Project Jasper. So, I mean, there's things that the government, if you really go digging, they've been working on this stuff for a really long time, but it's the conditioning, right? Like there's a couple spots even downtown Toronto that I do see Bitcoin ATMs, and more I'm seeing convenience stores with neon signs saying Bitcoin machines. So little by little, they're parsing it through. But of course, the masses are, you know, it's not secure, it crashes, you know, they play the same game with people. Mind you, though, and I think this was brought up earlier too, like Best Buy has hardware wallets. Like I went on the website, I was like, oh, okay. So it's just a matter of people really paying attention. But again, if you want the convenience game, yeah, you're just gonna look at it like, okay, I'll just get BTC and ETH. That's it. Good luck.
It's a good thing that you bought a convenience, because I've been on that route, right, champ? The last few months, that's been my biggest thing. I'm like, yo, I've started to really analyze all things that we use for convenience, and I'm like, but that's not enriching my life at all. And then I saw a post that put it all in perspective, and I want to share that with you guys. And then, Champ, you could just go ahead and body slam them after this one.
I got you.
Well, have at it. I'm gonna find this joint real quick.
I bet. So my thing is, so I just wanted to cover, there was a couple pivotal things that happened in crypto this week. So this week, if you guys like weren't paying attention to any news clips or anything like that, it still was coming across my ether. First things first was, of course, we have this political nonsense. So all of this stuff that's going on right now, it started to make me look into what matters, right? Is the policies, right? What are the policies that you're able to uncover with each candidate? That was something personally that I wanted to look into. But then I started looking at, all right, Trump just got a lot of traction when he was talking about Bitcoin, but he was well versed. He's actually hitting on things that were impacting the crypto community directly. And I got some clips for you guys. But before I even get into that, Kamala Harris, was not supporting cryptocurrency whatsoever. She actually said Bitcoin is for criminals. She's correct, right? She's 100% correct. There's nothing wrong with what she said. But she had nothing to follow it up with, nothing to correct what was happening with Bitcoin in previous years to now, nothing, right? She spoke on no CBDCs, nothing at all. Soon as they got the reports, because you know they have their teams and their teams kind of analyze what was said and the impact of stuff. Once Trump bombed on her and he got all the traction with cryptocurrency, and I'm gonna show you guys a couple of those clips. I'm gonna share something with you. Look at what she does. Can everybody see that? So she goes to visit the big three. Ripple, the company, right? Coinbase, and Circle. Just to give you guys some context, Ripple, cross-border payments and remittances, one of the largest fintech companies that are based here in the United States out of San Fran. They're going to change the way the world transacts. Governments, institutions, fintechs, all of that good stuff. Coinbase, it's the biggest custodian for all ETFs. Coinbase is the United States cryptocurrency exchange, right? First barrier entry for people coming in cryptocurrency where you can transact. Circle, the first regulated, government approved, that's probably going to be the quote unquote chosen one for stable coins, right? It is the company behind USDC or US dollar coin. Guys, these people will play in your face repeatedly. Outside of just this instance, right? She had no interest in cryptocurrency whatsoever. Soon as he got all the attention, he got all the traction, she goes to these guys, right? And then there was players from Ripple who actually contributed to her campaign fund after Trump announced that he was accepting donations across 3 platforms and 8 cryptocurrencies. So you see how these people play on your emotions? If they know you're involved in something, they're going to do exactly what needs to be done to put on the spectacle to show for you just to get your vote. They need you. And then after they feel like they don't need you, these type of instances right here fall by the wayside. And I honestly tried to analyze this and figure out what would be, I guess, the great thing about it. Now, yes, a conversation should be had with all political parties, anybody who can potentially be in a position of power. They definitely need to speak to these people because crypto, blockchain, distributed ledger technology is going to run the world, period, right? It is the advancement of what already exists. It is the 2.0 or the 3.0 of what we already have. And we need that. But don't let these people play in your faces because these companies been putting in work long before these players came in to kind of put on this little spectacle for you. All right. So that was one thing I wanted to highlight.
before you go on to the next one. The
Gotcha.
worst part about that article is that administration has been killing cryptocurrency.
Mm.
So what's the reset? Like, we've been here working. What are you looking to reset? You're looking to reset, right? The masses won't know how to read this article properly, because right before this lady was being championed as the savior, she had the worst record as a vice president. Like, no, everybody's like, yo, where's she at? What's she doing? What? They've erased every single thing that she's done, all the way down to her convictions. No one can find those online anymore.
Yeah.
Right? If it wasn't for the internet being able to just record everything, and you can't really take everything down, right? The side-by-side clips are outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't take her serious. You had the opportunity to do the job. You are doing the job. So now you're shifting on every position. So what you gonna do? You gonna throw Biden under the bus? This, I tell you, none of these people are in control of anything at this point. And just the fact that that's how powerful media is. If they wanted to, they could champion Donald Trump too. Because for every sitting president, he had it the worst when it came down to like just how media was treating him. And then when you look at Biden, I'm just like, yo, they throwing this guy softballs all day. It's like, be fair about it. And even when he did things that were great, right? They said nothing.
Yeah.
So the social conditioning of media, I didn't realize how powerful it was. Tomorrow they could make you hate this lady if they wanted to, and bring Hillary back up, or whoever they want to bring in, Gavin Newsom, like whatever, and then they'll throw her to the waistline. So I'm like, listen, I can't be part of that clown show.
Yeah. At all.
But people are really invested in this, and I get it. Your ancestors fought for the right to vote. Go ahead with the next clip. What are you doing next? But this is crazy. Ripple, Coinbase, and Circle. Guys, you have to understand the power and the information that you guys hold. You could look at this article and see right through it, right? Where most people can't. What you got on Trump?
So Trump was at Bitcoin 2024 Expo. He had some big notable, I guess, quotes in his speech, right? But there's one thing that I want to touch on. This is really, really important. I'm gonna play this clip. And I'll tell you about it afterwards. I'll give you my take.
The moment I'm sworn in, the persecution stops and the weaponization ends against your industry. And as long as I'm in the Oval Office, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, do you remember? Yes, I'm an Indian. Yes, she said, I'm an Indian. Why are you an Indian? You don't look like an Indian. No, my mother told me I have high cheekbones. Oh, that's why she was an Indian. So I named her Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren and her goons, and she's very nasty to you. She hates your people. She hates everything about you. Will keep their hands off Bitcoin. They're going to keep their hands off crypto. They're going to let it grow. We're going to let it grow. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman. I didn't know he was that unpopular. Wow. I didn't know he was that unpopular. Let me say it again. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. Whoa.
Let's go. Let's go.
I will appoint a new SEC chairman who believes America should build the future, not block the future, which is what they're doing.
So there was a lot in there. First things first, That's incredible news for the crypto space.
But stop sharing.
It's getting rid of Gary Gensler. First things first, right? That guy is the bad guy of crypto. And he's hindering, but he's super informed of the power of cryptocurrency. He taught cryptocurrency. He educated the top prospects from various Fortune 500 companies at MIT. So he's very well aware, and he's been in that position. He's literally just being controlled. He's the puppet master, but he's going to be the face that has the bad guy moniker forever, right? So the first thing I want to I guess break down on that is, I love the news, but Trump cannot act. I don't care who it is. Trump cannot actually remove the SEC chair. Now, what I feel is going to happen is they can easily get him to step down and make him resign, but they can't just remove him like that. That's not how that works. So the Supreme Court ruled on that before. Presidents cannot remove appointed heads of regulatory agencies. And that's why politicians tried to introduce the Restructuring Act in 2023. So that's just a nugget for somebody to know. So when you hear sound bites and stuff, don't get caught up in the emotion, actually do the research, right? But he definitely needs to go. And two, this has already been in the plans for the longest. I think maybe 5-6 months into Gary Gensler being in that position, they were already talking about the SEC overreaching, overstepping, abusing their power, and a whole new regulatory body being put in that place, which would be the CFTC, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, right? And we already, all the 1%ers, you guys already know the story, you know the players, you know who would essentially fall into that spot. But the CFTC is a way, way better play than the SEC. And that's proven fact. Steve, you want to touch on anything on that before I shift? All right.
I'll be repeating what you said.
Got you. And then
that guy's dumb though. He doesn't know anything about the industry
at all.
You know what I'm saying? But his VP pick is a Bitcoin maxi.
He's a maxi.
Yeah, now that guy's in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, together, I think that administration would be a better option to usher. So we're just talking about one topic of many, right? So you know how well invested we are in this. So that's the only topic I want to listen to. Everything else I could deal with.
Right.
Listen, take us back to segregation. No problem. Sign me up. Sign me up. Let's divvy it up. You know what I mean? Just tell us you'll stay out the way and we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Force us back into submission to have to deal with each other. And I think this is where we're failing, man. It's still this divide, man. It's like, damn, they made this into race again. And actually, this is even bigger because now it's like you got the male, female, you got the white male. She's Native American too, but that's another conversation. So now she's Black. So you got it's just the contrast between the two is wild, but they're both just dumb. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't matter. For me, I'm like, just split it down the middle, let them split that big ass house. One live in one wing, the other live in another, and then they meet in the middle every day to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real way to really run a country. But no, I ain't got nothing to add with that. So if I'm a single topic voter, I'm going Trump. Just on crypto. I could, that 2025 thing, that don't scare me. Y'all bugging. They're already treating us wild. There's already a lot of pitfalls and everything in front of us. Unmask it. Tell us what it is out loud. Let me find a back door and we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think it's people are getting caught up because I've always told you they're going to put us all in a blender. It doesn't matter. Y'all seen it with COVID. They didn't have a Black vaccine and a white vaccine. It was just one vaccination. That's all it's about at the end of the day, man. It's just putting the masses of people in a pool together and you try to control the population as much as possible. And I'm telling you, you guys are, and if you had to, it's all happening anyway, regardless of which way you think. I've heard people online tell me, well, Steve, if you don't vote, you're throwing it away and it's going to, why would it go to Trump? Why wouldn't the throwaway vote go the other way? Like, what are y'all talking about? Shit is dumb. I've never heard just wild stuff before.
Yeah.
I'm throwing my vote away. I'd much rather vote for him if I went to the line. All right. I threw it away last time Biden won. Y'all be fine.
Word.
Fucked. You have to take these topics and these adjustments. You have to self-custody your life right now at this point.
Yeah.
We've been through too many election cycles as adults now to know that this shit is bugged out. You know what I mean? It's horrible what it's doing to the country, the divide. You know, I'm sure I'm not helping with the stuff I'm posting either, but I'm just bringing awareness because I'm just seeing all this capital raise and billions of dollars over here and millions and hundreds of millions. And I'm like, God damn, on one fucking Zoom phone call, and y'all, we can't figure out how to work together and just we could have did a lot more with that money.
Absolutely.
Because I hope she wins for the sake of y'all, because you guys are going to lose it right now. That's why expat life is so big, because people think like, oh, you're going to move out this country because of Trump. He's not going to be the cause of this, man. There was political things going on way before this guy threw his hat in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He's really the first outside president that I know of, you know, in our time that didn't come up in the ranks.
Yeah. No, that's a fact.
That's it. He speaks a common language, you know, regardless of what, call him racist, do all that other stuff. Shit, everybody is.
Yeah. This is wild, man. We in wild times, man. And what people fail to realize is she's currently the vice president.
No, she's the president because no one has seen him yet.
Oh, the replacement. Oh, got you.
No, I'm being honest. No one has seen Biden yet.
I seen a clip where I guess he popped out or whatever, and he was boarding the plane. He was boarding the flight, and they snapped photos of him. But the dude is taller than it's a mess. Straight replacement.
No, he's not here.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what I want to end it with on here. And this is going back to the convenience situation, but this sets it up really nice.
That's a washing machine. What does it wash? Clothes. An electric motor spins the cylinder, pump through the machine. So is that it here? And the agitation removes any soil in there.
What does that wash?
That's a refrigerator. Top compartment keeps food frozen. The bottom compartment maintains a temperature of 38 degrees. And you sell these? We rent them. So you sell electricity, and then you rent all the things that need electricity? More or less. We don't need any of these things. Well, the conveniences. Their use gives you time to do other things. What other things? Like other chores. You invent machines to do those, then what do we do? Go on a picnic. Go for a swim. Go to the cinema. You can enjoy a more leisurely life. Be more leisurely, because we gotta work more to pay for all this stuff. He's got you there. This is the future. Every home in New York City has electricity. They have refrigerators. Some even have electric stoves. Now here's the thing. We buy all this stuff, we're not working for ourselves anymore, we're working for you.
Right?
Right.
Let that kind of sink in a little bit. What else are you supposed to do with your time when we have all these conveniences? And this is now going back to the time situation. And congratulations on the students who took the time to assess their time. And it seems like social media is the culprit, right? Endless scrolling. It just becomes a fidget at this point now. Okay. And then you got to hear all topics, all viewpoints. I process things differently. I don't really take what people say to formulate thoughts in my head. I always sit with it and then I'll poke around the ether a little bit. But I always sit with it first, and I'm never swayed any particular way. So there's some smart guys I follow that give certain angles that I may not necessarily see. But again, smart guys and women, like, right? This is all types of people, not just, of all culture. They have a different way of seeing things. It's not just being told what it is, right? There's always a deeper way for you to analyze certain things. So that convenience thing has been sitting on me heavy, and then I got hit with that. So when you look at, and this was the caption here. So in today's world, convenience is king, but behind its appeal, it has a hidden cost, both financially and health-wise. Outsourcing chores and indulging in fast food may seem time-saving, but they come with long-term consequences for our wallets and well-being, right? So what we're living in now is a convenience culture, but somehow we have no time, right? So the convenience culture, especially in the food industry, prioritizes speed over nutrition, leading to surges in health issues like obesity and heart disease. Our obsession with instant gratification extends beyond food to all aspects of life. But what's the expense? This is what I've been sitting with probably for the last 3 months. And trust me, this is everybody is going through some level of this, kind of recalibrating. Is this the job I should be at? We talked about this before. This has been in the last 3 months. I promise you, everybody on this call, put a 1 in the chat if you've been feeling this, questioning, what your purpose is. And I'm talking about not just once or twice through your mind, like really sitting and shit. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And this is where I was at. Even questioning this academy, right?
Yep.
Even questioning this academy, like, why am I doing this for? Yeah, I gotta wake up some days like, yo, what am I doing this for? I don't have total clarity on that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Outside of like this great community that's being built, some amazing people that I've met along the way, shit, put champ in my life. Like, yeah, there's some great upside, but then when I'm looking at just like what I have to do every day to keep this thing afloat, like, what am I doing? Like, what am I really doing this for?
Yeah. Self-assessments,
It's important.
insights. Yeah.
Right. So now there's this fight between what you want to do and what you have to do. Right. A lot of times what you have to do is not always what you want to do. And I can attest to that. I'm living in that space now. So I get to play around both ways, right? In the mornings, time with the kids, working out. Beautiful. Come home, water some plants, get the day started in the pharmacy, in the kitchen. Beautiful. Then I open this laptop and the shit gets wacky.
Wacky immediately.
Absolutely wacky. So, and I'll leave you with this, the real estate. And this is why I never wanted to really put the battery in people's back so much to think that they can go into it, right? Oh yeah, I want to own real estate and I want to have 1,000 doors and make this passive income. This is the kind of the real estate dream, guys. It is not what it's cracked up to be. The changes that have been happening in this industry are outrageous right now. I have companies that are in charge of paying your taxes, paying your insurance, keeping all things up to date, are not holding up their end of the bargain. Okay. Payments are missing. Payments are getting mailed to different addresses, which is causing me to get letters of cancellation. Okay. What I'm seeing in real estate now is there's a lot of, and even just life with you, champ, the other day, there's a lot of things changing in society right now where they're not giving you any more grace periods.
Yeah, absolutely.
For anything. And it's changing the dynamic of how we do business. But I have to question that there's something going on in the system right now, and they just don't have it. I have tenants who are, they're showing me screenshots from their employers of checks that aren't clearing, direct deposits that are behind. It almost feels like this is being orchestrated a bit.
For sure.
Landlords from across the country in units that are vacant, we land bank, they're giving out more blight tickets. Everything is becoming, they're threatening for people to lose property. And on the flip side, then they're doing these things for the masses where it's like, oh, 0 down program, 500 credit score. And I'm like, come on, man, you're just going to give the shit right back. That's not how you qualify people, especially in these times. Right. So I'm seeing both sides of it. And I'm like, the only thing that is going to save people in the next 2 years is going to be useful knowledge and education. And I'm not talking about just people just throwing some stuff out or you just reading some shit or doing a prompt in Chat GPT. Like actually following the guidance of the right individuals. Right. And looking at the formula from like Ruth, is Ruth still on here? She might have jumped off. Oh, Ruth, you're still here. If you want to unmute Ruth, can you get on for a second?
Hi,
Hey, Ms.
How's it
Ruth.
going?
how you doing?
Everything's good. So listen, can you just give us in short how you came across Champ and I?
So I have been following you all on YouTube for a while,
How long is a while?
probably about over a year,
Okay.
just going back and forth, and I couldn't decide because I have followed some other people and I was getting information from them. So I was just like jumping in stuff that I really didn't understand. But then when I came across you all and started following, it was more like teaching, like this is a real academy. And I didn't feel like I was being influenced by an influencer. So I can tell you all over, I think I've been in academy for a little under 2 months.
Yep.
And I've gotten so much information. I feel like going down this road now that I'm getting closer to what I'm going to need in retirement, because I'm only 5 years from retirement. And this information I've gotten from you all has been just so much useful from all the time that I wasted following other people.
Wow.
And now that you have clarity on the differences, right? What did you how were you treated in that influencer world?
Just like someone that they just wanted my money, wanted me to buy an ebook. And when I tried to ask a question, it's like they made you feel like you were stupid for asking a question, and there was really no one there that you could interact with. Like you would put something in the chat, no one would respond. Or during the conversation, they would say, feel free to jump, and you would unmute yourself or raise your hand, and you just got completely ignored.
Wow.
So you guys are the best.
Appreciate that. And just think about it. So where Ruth is at in her life, when you're headed towards retirement, there's no room for errors at that point. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not,
Right.
you're not old by any stretch, but it's just how much more time can you put into a market to just, if I had to guess, we're just working to just live.
Right.
A lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and
Right.
this is what happens. These times right here, they've wiped out 401ks, were wiped out 08, 9, and 10.
Yep.
You're starting over again. The amount of friends that I speak to that have 401ks, they don't know where or what the money's being invested in. They have no clue. They did see for those who had it since back then, they did see the sharp drop then. And it's like, we don't have time to take control of the very things that matter, because now they turned our health into a convenience product. They turned our money into a convenience product. And now they could influence the way that we think through sheer convenience, right? Because all I have to do is go online or turn on the news, and there's my thought process. It's done for me already. I hate this guy so much that I will vote for her. I hate her so much that I will vote for him. This is where we at.
Wow.
This is where we're at right now. This is where we've always been at. I used to get hung when I talked about the political system back in the days. Like, I'm not voting. I didn't have the words back then to why. I just knew, like, yo, this shit just doesn't work for me, man. It's like me breaking the law. It just doesn't work for my soul. I have the right to do that. Right? I have the right to do that. So my message to you guys is, don't let nobody make you do something, or start to question yourself of why, start questioning, why do I believe in that? Our parents didn't have all this information we had. We're the generation that could break generational curses. We're that first generation that has enough power, fortitude, information, capital, community that can break old ways. So when I think about the statement, like, your ancestors fought for you to vote, I'm like, no, they kind of fought for us to open shit up, and then we decide what else. But y'all stuck on the wrong thing, because I'm moving. I never made any more money with one administration to the other. You just can't put something on it. I can't tell you there was better times here and worse times there. It all seems like one bad movie at this point now as you get older. Right? When you're younger, you're in the streets, you're partying, you're just not paying attention to a whole lot. So the young lady in the group is very thankful for all the donations that you guys gave. And I don't care how small it was, whether it was $5, $100, whatever. It is helping her out tremendously. So she sent me the message, and I just want to share it with you guys. One of the things too, to touch on with you, what you just said, Ruth, she was also affiliated with other groups, and I'm not going to name these guys, but I know all these guys in these groups. We're all kind of closely connected some way and somehow. Every student has gone through one of our programs, right? And that's how a lot of you guys found us, through some of these groups. So I had asked, she stated the name of the groups, and she says, but you guys are my family, and she capitalized it, right? And then I asked, did she reach out to these other groups? And she put, I didn't reach out to any of those communities, just Skyton. The level of comfortability and family environment led to the decision. So as melanated people, we are very prideful people also, right? We won't ask for help. And that's to our detriment, guys. We are all put here to help each other. Okay, this is what we're put here for, not to wait for politicians to do whatever. The Republican Party will tell you that. Listen, people help people. People don't turn to government. Once I heard that, I'm like, all right, that makes sense. But we're losing the human touch, right? That connection. That's what we're put here for. This is what the life experience is. So when there's a student in need, and if anybody's ever in need, just say something in the chats. Just come to us. We'll figure it out as a group. Because if I ever hit hard times, I for sure would love to have a community of people that could band together to help get me back on track again. So, and Champ will tell you, I've been asking about this student for so long, couldn't reach her, didn't have a cell phone really, kept checking. I'm like, yo, something's not right. And then, Champ finally gets in touch with her, first call, immediately link goes up, without a doubt. We did what we needed to do on our end, and then we just brought it to the community. So I'm just letting you guys know that this thing right here that we're building is not something that you're going to find everywhere. Okay. No one's just a product to us. We create products for people, but people aren't our product. I'm not interested in that. So I want to thank you guys. Definitely want to thank you guys for being part of this. And you know, for that is the reason why, you know, probably one of the main reasons why I was tasked to do something like this. You know, I don't need all the answers at this point. You know, I just want to say thank you for anybody that's ever supported. Even if you never even gave a dime, just know that if you watch 60 Dot Connects, you can figure it out.
Right.
It was all there.
Everything.
Everything. We didn't hide anything from you guys. If you look at the charts today, there's only a couple green situations happening, and XRP is one of them. So you guys have to understand that this case is damn near wrapped up. Okay. This case is much more pivotal than you think, because it is what is going to give the institutions the green light to hit go. You understand? Because this technology is going to be the technology to save us all. Okay. So there's going to be a soft landing, and then there's going to be a hard landing. But for anybody that understands the system and what's about to happen, you'll be fine. Now, the next thing that we have to deal with is this automation and this artificial intelligence situation. Okay. Because a lot of people identify their purpose by their job. And that's going to be the biggest mental health issue for the world to ever face, is when Americans, a lot of Americans, become jobless with no skills for the future economy. I think this is when you're going to see some shit happening in this country. The crime, suicide rate, just mental health declining. Right? And we're not the healthiest batch on top of it. So we're really a fragile country. When I traveled to Haiti as an adult, to see like people with no shoes, kids smiling, no home, like just craziness. And I'm just like, yo, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. So the pendulum is just swinging, and a lot of the fortunes that we had were built on misfortune. And I'm just telling you that there's countries that were part of that misfortune that is breaking away from this dollar, and that's what's going to end up smacking us back in the face again. And it's going to directly affect every single one of our lives. And I don't care how much money you have or how comfortable you think you are. I'm just telling you that the fabric of this country is going to shift, and you're not going to want to be amongst common people on a daily basis. Because I already feel like that now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It hurts my soul when I walk into a grocery store. Even if I'm not middle aisle type of guy, it just hurts me to walk inside of a lot of these places, man.
Yep.
So start making the preparation. With that said, we have a course coming up with Nas and she put this together already, of how to prepare for things if they did go haywire. Just some basic essentials that we should all have, right? Because we ain't built for it.
Right.
I'm not the most comfortable. If the lights did go out, I do have my backup things, but I'm not saying that I can't survive in that. For sure, I'm gonna figure it out. But I think we need to bring an awareness to some essentials that you need if something was to happen. That's it. It won't cost you a whole arm and a leg. It's just a lot of if this, then that, right? We have a backup generator here. If something was to go out in the house, it runs on gas. Not the gas from the gas company, gas that you get out. So I have backup containers and things like that to be able to just hold us down for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys. So I'm tapping into a lot right now. Really, a lot of my gifts are wrapped around like health and wellness, and now outside of just being or being called a visionary, I didn't self-proclaim myself that. I'm starting to have stronger visions of things. I never knew I was that guy, but the more I tap into spirituality, it's starting to get a little right. So I'm going a lot more deeper into those practices. I'm not ignoring the call at this point. I can tell you that in some of the stuff that I found with health, I keep saying I'm gonna leave you with this, but I'm gonna definitely leave you with this one. So the other day I come across a article about the PCR testing kits, right? So we're not vaccinated in our household, but we did partake in the PCR testing kits a few times. Okay. That was nothing more than a data play. They were collecting DNA from people. So when I got that information, I kept following the information. It took me to the NIH website. So this is Fauci and those guys. And it's starting to tell you exactly what they did with the PCR kits. There's nothing that they're hiding on these official websites. Nothing. You just have to be able to read and have the stamina to look at these big ass words, right? Because they overcomplicate the science. You shaking your head, Roof already, right? And you know me, I'm a sharp, dull knife. Same damn time. So I'm working through the shit, right? That's why I connected that first dot. Then I've been researching and training on healing the body through frequency. All things, we're energy beings at the end of the day. So as I'm researching that, and I got that piece of information, I said, hold on. There's this thing called quantum entanglement. This is a science term, right? So if anybody knows everybody know what the DNA symbol looks like? It's two strands wrapped around each other that create that, right? You need the two strands. So if I had a piece of DNA here in the house of your DNA, and it could be wherever you're at, I could have Champ's DNA here, whether it be a fingernail or a piece of hair.
Piece of hair, yeah.
I can send signal to Champ's DNA that is going to find him wherever he's at in the world and work on whatever his ailment is at that point.
Wow.
Quantum entanglement. Okay. The flip side to it is, what do you think somebody else can do to your DNA? Understand, you're giving your DNA to companies to figure out where in the world you're from. Shit's dumb. It was all about grabbing the DNA. BlackRock just bought that company for billions of dollars. That company knows every disease, everything that we're predisposed to. That company could also, if they wanted to, entangle with your DNA. Our DNA sheds everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. You walk on the sand, DNA. There was an artist the other day that did an exhibition. She went around and grabbed cigarette butts, and they were able to create the face of the person that was smoking the cigarette through the DNA on the cigarette butt that most people throw out in the street. You following me? So I'm just telling you that if we have access to this technology, can you imagine the stuff that we don't know and how much more advanced those guys are on that side? That's scary. That part's scary, because as much as I love the fact that I can heal through medicine and all the things, guys, and I'm talking about proven stuff. We've literally bought our blood work from, not so great in certain areas to like beyond normal levels, just through herbs, right? Nothing else really. Nothing's changing with the diet. There's no restrictions. We haven't even gone fully clean yet, just through the power of herbs. So I'm telling you that there's science out here that we have access to now that these guys have been playing with, and that I'm convinced now that entire COVID situation was nothing more than a way to grab every genetic makeup of every human that's on this planet. But understand, they've had our DNA since birth too, right? They got your footprint as a baby. I didn't sign up for this shit.
Right.
You know, that was a contract my parents had with the United States government and these entities. That wasn't that's just not my. I'm an adult now, so I want my DNA back.
Mhm.
Champ, you put up that situation with Facebook. Meta is able to use all your photos, any video you've ever done,
Yeah.
to then feed their AI. So Champ found something and it showed us a way to opt out of it, but you got to do so much for it. I'm like, this should have been just a off and on situation.
Right.
And
Should have been a quick click.
do you know that link never worked for me? Every time I got to putting the information in, getting my code from email to then input it in there, it gave me an error message. Did it work for you?
Nah. Mm-mm. And it was so many steps. I tried to do it from the desktop, and the desktop configuration is different than your mobile, so it's even wilder on the desktop.
The mobile didn't work.
Yeah, this is wild.
I tried it 3 times. It did not work. So I'm just telling you that they're not only data harvesting, but they're also harvesting our DNA. And here's the wild part when I read the NIH situation is they're using it for cloning individuals. So now we're going to get to a point, and they're not looking to clone. And you and I, we're already made. They're looking to clone the offsprings of people, of children that we don't even have yet, if you're still on that route. So you're going to start to see children born with no sex. So remember, they're already kind of training us with this new language now, right? They're not identifying as anything. Now they're going to give you people who really don't identify with anything because they're going to be born with no parts. This is the shit that's going on. I can't make this up. It's on the NIH website. I'm going to start sharing it with you guys inside the academy. I knew these boys was wicked, but shit, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. None of us signed up for our data or our DNA to be harvested to then work against us in our lineage. So when they talk about population control, they dead set on that. I promise you. They are dead set on it. And when I start to study the body and the genetical makeup of people, you can tell exactly who the person is by just the smallest piece of DNA from that person. So that's why I was like, even when the vaccine came out, why it was a hard no for me is because I know what my genetical stock is, and so do they. We just don't know how powerful our stock is.
Right.
So when they could affect our powerful stock, that becomes a problem for me. And that's why I never trusted the vaccine, because I'm like, okay, it's for all people. But I said, the science is a lot smarter than we think it is. It can, not all people, it's not going to react the same way to all people. And I'll argue that I don't have any facts on it outside of the feeling I have in my stomach that came on the very first day. No way. And now that I'm piecing more of it together and I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole of DNA, shit. We were just touching the surface when we told you to minimize, maintain, and monetize your data. They got our genetical makeup. I'll leave you with one more thing. Now this is getting comical. So when I was in Detroit, there's a gentleman that owns a restaurant. He's super smart, and I just love kicking it with him. So he has a health food, and Champ, you met him. This is my guy Marlon at Detroit Pepper. So if you're ever in Detroit, look up Detroit Pepper and go pay him a visit. He's on the east side of Detroit. It's the only place that you can get healthy food, and that's where most of my investments, our family investments, are in the east side of Detroit. So I'm always on that side. I support him because it's healthy, and he's one of us. He told me about the lead situation, lead paint in houses, right? So if I say lead paint in house, what's the first thing you think about? Chips and a baby eating it, getting lead, right? Bullshit. Lead is the very compound that can stop signals from coming into your home. Okay? So when they asked you to strip down the lead from your house and they created the new paint, there's no longer a barrier between you and whatever else they want to do. So if you're sitting on an old house with lead on the exterior of the house, keep that lead there. Keep it there. Okay? It blocks all signals. They can't penetrate lead. And that's what led to those laws. Now, here's the easiest thing to do moving forward. Anything that the government tells you they're putting in place for your safety, research that thing and buy 10 of them. Fluorescent light bulbs, right? Fluorescent light bulbs. We got to get back to fluorescent light bulbs. I'm down that rabbit hole now. They replaced it with LED. These things are the worst things on your health right here. All these lights right here, the absolute worst thing that you could put inside of your house. But out of convenience of people telling us that this particular bulb will last however much years, and mind you, it's not even a bulb that lasts however much years, because once that thing is done, you got to replace the entire, light structure. So again, taking it back to that convenience, we are just doing things because we're being told to do it. The reason I'm not interested in voting for any party is because I know that both parties, none of them have our personal interests in mind. It's just an agenda of whoever is paying those people. It costs over $100 and something thousand per vote. So think about it. How much money did you pay to vote? So if it costs $100,000 in order for a candidate to gain one vote, where's the money coming from? If we're not the ones paying. So these are the lobbyists. These are the tech companies. These are the big guys. Those are the guys that actually write the laws. Those guys are the ones that own our political system right here. I used to think it was like, the families, the normal names. And I'm just like, these guys they've locked up the banking system. But all these new tech companies right now, the exchange between tech companies and government is the fact that they could spy on us through private entities at the end of the day. That's it. That's what all tech companies are here for. All right. So at some point within the next year, we're going to move off this platform. We're going to start using decentralized platforms. I'm out of the system. You understand? So we have to start moving more into decentralized models, moving into, not supporting the Twitters and the Metas. And I know how hard it is, especially if you're not making money on those spaces, you don't really even need to be there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because if it was just for entertainment, I'm not entertained by it at all. I don't go to Instagram for entertainment. I'm working, but I fall in line because I see some shit that's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't spend all my time there at all, honestly. So I dropped a lot on y'all tonight. Please be mindful of who you're giving your DNA to. I could remember going to Disney and we're, leaving the park or whatever. And they're like, or going into the park and they're like, oh yeah, so just put your fingerprint here. And I'm like, for what? And they're like, oh, so you can get back into the park if you left. And I'm like, what's the other alternative? They're like, well, you just have to wait in line with the band. And I'm like, I'll just wait in line. I do not give my DNA to anybody if you're not locking me up. Period. So stop giving your DNA to these third-party companies. They don't need it. Every airport now is scanning your face. Opt out of it. Let them take you to another room. Get to the airports early. Let them inconvenience your life, but do not give these people your DNA.
Yeah.
Don't do it. So that's all I got for y'all tonight. That's all I got for y'all tonight. And that Ripple case is about to wrap up. And you guys are going to see what the power of digital currency was really put here to do. And I'm not in agreement with a lot of things that Ripple and XRP are doing or capabilities they're giving governments. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. We've talked about it openly. And I've gave you my honest opinion. If I was in charge of all this, I'll shut it all down. We'll do some other things to have fun. But it's coming, whether or not we don't have the power to really stop that as a collective. We can't even decide on black or white or Trump we're fucked. You can't decide with those two, or you're voting because of the hatred that you have for a particular individual only because of what somebody told you. What if she was behind Project 2025? Would y'all even care? Because her administration actually cut more money to HSBCUs, and she's coming from one, than the Trump administration actually gave way more money to Black colleges and universities.
Yeah, that's a fact.
The Trump administration created reform that's let out more brothers and sisters out of jail than any other sitting president combined. So what are we talking about right here? The guy wants to have some dinner with some racist dudes? Whatever. Whatever. We've all sat with them. They teach us. We eat from them.
Yep.
They're your doctors. They're your nurses.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all forgetting that one. They fly the planes that you're on. Y'all want to get down to the nuances. You're driving the cars that they make. You're wearing the clothes that they tell you they don't want you to wear. Y'all, where y'all want me to go with this? Racism didn't start with Trump. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
It is embedded in the fabric of this country. So now y'all want to bring up this old shit? Shit old, man. I don't even get into that with people anymore. All right, cool. Yeah, that's fine. I'd rather deal with somebody who tells me who they are, because then I could honestly and openly tell you who I am, and then we could sit and have a conversation with each other. It's the ones that are pump faking. Nah, I don't even want to have a like, what? That's how we come together with things. That's how we learn from each other. We took I used to do these little Airbnb trips with the family where we go and we find just a dope little situation, but I always like the ones where the owners are like really involved, right? So we did we stayed on we stayed on a camper on an Amish farm. And I'm still friends with the guy to this day. They invited us into their homes, they sang Christmas carols, and you wouldn't imagine how much more we were like than separate from the Amish. These guys live off the land. At 15, these kids go out to work. Not saying I'm in agreement with a whole lot of things, but I'm just telling you the structure of these people. They don't rely on government so much for handouts. They are in the whole farming system and they're doing them wrong. And, they did vote for Trump and, things just don't go their way. But what they don't realize is when corporations kind of own our food distribution now. So we're not going to be able to turn the government to subsidize farming. It's just dead. Faircon, he brought out a statement. I'll never forget this, where he was like, he talked about the future. He was like, the person that can grow food and sell food will have people eating out of their hands in the future. And I totally believe it. So when you're attacking the very people that are serving us the last bit of nutritional food that we have that has real nutritional value, I'm just telling you that we headed down a slippery slope. And this is happening with this administration right here. So I'm not getting on her because of what she identifies as. I don't care about her like that. The whole system annoys me. I'm looking at the policies that she was behind. This ain't an outsider who could say anything that's never been in the seat. She's in the seat. She was the least, she was the vice president with the lowest rating in history. Now, all of a sudden, she's championed as the savior. Let her win. And I'm going to be here to tell y'all I told you so. Let Trump win. I'm going to be here to tell y'all I told you so. We just stuck between a rock and a hard place. No circumstances have changed. We all headed down a tough path. And without community and visionaries and people that stand on what they say, you're not going to have a fighting chance without a community that you can run stuff by. And that's the very thing that they did during the pandemic. They separated us. Think about it. Go back to it. How many family members didn't you speak to? You were ashamed to ask. I wasn't. I'd be like, oh, you're going to ask them? I'm like, yes. I'm going to ask my friends what they think about this shit. This is how we learn. Because I could have a piece of information that could change your life and your circumstance. And now all my friends are coming back that I was talking to around that time. They're like, Steve, listen, I wish I would have tapped in a little bit more. But they needed the work. Once they went after the jobs and everything, that was it. It was over. It was over. And if you're following anything with the court cases, if you're following anything with the papers, I'm telling you, we gave you a detox situation. You can pull a lot of that. You can pull all that stuff out and more. It's right in the health and wellness protocol. I'm actually going to post something tomorrow, and we're going to start a 30-day challenge amongst the group. And all we have to do is make this one drink a couple times a day for 30 days. That's it. And then you're going to start to see changes in your life. So we're all solution based. I hate to like have to bring light to something and then not have some sort of solution, or take you one step closer to just figuring this thing out. Because even I'm on this health journey and I'm just like, yo, this shit is far more difficult. People would much rather take the pill. So convenience is killing us, like literally killing us. The amount of people that I hear that are in their 40s and 50s having heart attacks in this country, bugging. Rapid cancer, bugging. These are the frequencies. This is all driven by frequency. So if frequency can kill, frequency can also provide life. And ask yourself, do you believe that this government would allow people to do that to us? I'm not here to answer that for you. Bad champ. Love y'all. I'm out though.
With that being said, we gonna cut it there. That's a mic drop. Steve, absolutely killed that. See you in the AM. We got work to do. Everybody out there, appreciate y'all. Steve, love you. Love y'all. And thank y'all again. I saw some donations come in. Thank y'all. We appreciate that on her behalf. She's super, super appreciative. And this is just the power of community. I do want to leave you guys with two things. One, we have the upcoming plan masterclass. I dropped the link for you all inside the chat so that you guys can be able to click it, provide your info and get you assigned seat. And then also we've got a live talk, Navy Yard in Brooklyn on the 9th with Team Sockpot State. So we are going to be live in the building. I'm actually going to drop this for you guys in the chat so you guys can see it. Yeah, if you guys are in.
And then listen, just so you know, we're already at capacity.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But listen, just register, because I told them just go over and let's just deal with it, because they're seating comfortably and then they're standing room.
Yeah.
So this is a live taping of a podcast. We're already at first day, already at capacity. So that's cool. So, Champ and I are going to be blitzing, doing a lot more calls this year. If you're part of a community that's teaching you anything else and there's a component of crypto that's needed, please shout us out, make the introduction. We're open to working with all groups at this point. We've never been locked off from working with anybody.
Right.
We're mindful of the platforms that we go on, but for the most part, we're open to. We're not open to like letting anybody in our community, but Champ and I are open to kicking in some doors and spreading the word in other communities. But by all means, I will always protect you guys with the right type of people. And if anybody we bring on does any fuck shit, like just come straight to us with it.
Bring it back, please.
Yeah, like give us the warning. Let us handle the stuff in-house and figure things out. So we're all about protecting you guys and all things. Andre, the insurance guy, for all of you who have 401ks, reach out to that brother, get that money out that market. I'm not telling you to do whatever. I'm just telling you that just look at the options. Go back to 2008-9 if you still have your records from those years and see how much it dropped. I'm just telling you that these white boys on the way out, they're going to take everything they can because they can. They ain't like us. She ain't like us. He ain't like us.
Straight up.
None of them like us. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I could leave y'all with, man. Masterclass. Oh, the how to prepare yourself. That's a big one, guys. I'm talking about everything down to like just battery operated radios. If it was ever, just think about how are you going to communicate? I have a walkie-talkie here that can go 2,000 semi miles. I'll introduce you guys to that. Okay, it doesn't work on cell tower service or anything.
Yeah.
Technology's out here. We just have to be able to know what's there. So now you could have it programmed. You could also give it to family members. Family members could buy. You guys could all program and be on each other's channels. Because if things go out, how are you going to communicate if you're outside with just the people inside of your house? How would you communicate?
Yep. You wouldn't. You would have to keep everybody literally within arm's reach.
That's it.
It just happened in Paris, so this isn't far-fetched. This literally just happened in Paris.
What happened?
Blackout. All power grids, everything. Yep.
During the Olympics.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been seeing technology, you know, it ain't just Champ and I. Our phones aren't working correctly. Any apps that we go on, the computers are slow. Things are happening right now.
Yeah.
Every single system is under attack right now. They're just not telling us. Because trust me, if you knew that your bank was getting attacked as much as the banks are getting attacked right now, you would not want to keep your money there. That would cause a contagion. That would cause a bank run. But trust me, when the United States government is ready to invoke whatever they want to on us, that's going to be the thing they tell you. Oh, someone has the banking system locked and we're only able to recover this much, but then we're moving to a digital system where they can't actually get it. Here we go. That's what's going to usher us into cryptocurrency. I promise you, in that order, you would lose about 30% of your value on your cash that's in the bank right now. Now, when you got $100 in there, that could be a little whatever. When you got a couple $1 million, you still don't want to lose that much, but you're okay. You understand? So power of community, if you can get anybody, any friends or family that are kind of on the fence, just get them on 1 or 2 calls, especially that masterclass situation. That's an easy one to digest. Everybody knows that there's wild stuff going on in these systems. Direct deposits are missing. Companies are holding out on money. My American Express, I'm like, they just cutting me left and right. I go to the store. I used to have unlimited access to whatever I wanted. Now it's like, yo, you're at your limit. And I'm like, what are we doing right now? I've never not paid y'all.
Yep. Tightening,
So
man.
everything, you're seeing it. The crunch is out here right now. So just be prepared. What you don't want to do is you don't want to panic and make decisions in haste. We've been there before. A pandemic was nothing. It was all panic, all fear. And they told you already, it will make the blackouts will make the pandemic look like child's play.
Child's play in comparison.
We will be wishing we were back in 2021, 22. We will be wishing we were back in those days. And I'm not saying this to scare. I'm just telling y'all, as long as we're prepared, we're fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you could believe that all of this is going to happen, you could come up with a contingency plan. We've been giving you gold, silver recommendations. We've been telling you, you know, the number one thing that I'm gonna give my community right here is if you're part of a bank right now and your mortgage and your car loans and you have a whole bunch of debt with these guys with a savings account and money in there, remove the money from that bank and just keep what you need to keep the bills on autopilot. And even if you have to go in to deposit the money before the month's up or transfer it from one bank to another, because that is that easy, guys. I have one bank here that I have debt with, and I transfer every month. I just transfer the payment to them. I don't leave nothing in there at all. So if all your relationships, your cash and your debt is together, you are leaving yourself exposed for what you call a bail-in. And they have done this in the past. They did this in 08, 09. They were paying down people's mortgages. They were paying people's car notes off because they needed to lower their debt. So they took the cash out of your bank, which is not yours, and they paid it off for you. And people weren't happy about that.
Legally, you signed the contract when you elected for their product. It's in the terms that Steve was telling you at the beginning of the call. Happy reading.
Love y'all.
Episode 60. Out of here. Replay will be up soon. Love y'all. Steve.
One last thing.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, y'all. We'll catch y'all in the next one, man. We love y'all. Appreciate it.